Hello, everyone. It's Francis Widdowson here. I'm just going to do a YouTube video for you so that you can have some overview of the arbitration case. So for people who are unaware of this, on July 2nd, the arbitrator, David Philip Jones, issued his decision. And I was told by the union that I should not talk about that until all the submissions were made. Meanwhile, MRU, Jennifer Pettit, the Dean of Arts, put out an email saying that my academic freedom had been protected and my unemployment relation was unviable, so I wouldn't be returning to MRU. She, of course, left out the most important aspect of the decision, which is that the arbitrator decided that I had been disciplined excessively and therefore I shouldn't have been fired. But of course, MRU left out that very important detail. So that gives one a bit of an understanding of their honesty or lack of honesty. Anyway, I've done some background materials with respect to this decision, and I just wanted to share my screen with you so that you can see these materials. Anyway, so I'm currently sharing my screen, and this is the wokeacademy.info site. You'll notice this here, www.wokeacademy.info. And in the recent posts, you will see hashtag Francis Widdowson case, arbitration decision. So this hashtag Francis Widdowson case, I'm hoping people are going to use this when they're talking about my case so that people can see all the discussions that are going on about it. Anyway, I'm just going to enter into that. And what I've done is I've provided this introductory photo just to indicate the massive amounts of money that have been spent on this arbitration. And this, of course, is David Philip Jones, the arbitrator, with respect to my case. I'm going to be doing some discussions about his personality. One thing that's interesting about him is he's high up in the Anglican Church. And for people who are unaware of what has happened with the Anglican Church, it's one of the entities that, grovels about the residential schools and the unmarked graves, all sorts of apologies that have been made. So anyway, that's something to keep in mind. He also was a former law professor at the University of Calgary, and he is supposedly an expert on administrative law, but one does not get very much of a sense that that is the case when you look at this arbitration decision. Anyway, so David Philip Jones' decision is available on the Canley site. I should mention that this decision is being appealed. So the Canadian Association of University Teachers and the Mount Royal Faculty Association are appealing the decision not to reinstate me because of the fact that a few people at MRU who were completely discredited in the arbitration hearing, something I'm going to be talking about at length, don't want me to be back. And people like Gabrielle Lindstrom, who instigated the mobbing against me, she feels that she has been harmed by my satirizing of her attempts to get me fired and poison my work environment. So this is the kind of thing that's gone on, which should be just rejected out of hand. But because we live in this woke world, that's not happening. Anyway, just going into this decision, this is Canley site. This is where this decision is posted. And what you see is the CAUT lawyers, the labor relations officer, Michael Ford, who was the main lawyer that MRU hired, who's quite a blowhard, and manipulated the proceedings in all sorts of ways. And then it was heard on, these are all the dates that we went through. We went through 30 hearing days. I was on the stand for 8 days. It was just absolutely grueling. And this was because the case was not particularized. So this meant that I never heard about what the actual case was until mid-January 2024. So almost more than 2 years after I was fired, that's when I actually found out about the case. Anyway, we have the written submissions that were made, and then the replies that were made by both the university and the union. And then we see all the evidence for the university, all the investigators, Jennifer Pettit, who's the Dean of Arts, the complainants, Renee Watchman, Gabrielle Lindstrom. For some reason, D.A. Dirks wasn't able to testify, had some medical issue that prevented them from testifying. And then we have Miriam Carey, Dwayne Bratt, Peter Choate, Mary Lee Mulholland. Those are professors at MRU. Dwayne Bratt was the former chair of my department, and he made false statements about me to the media in 2023. Mary Lee Mulholland completely discredited because I had recordings of the meetings where she made up stuff about me. Elizabeth Evans, who is was the provost, the absolute worst provost you can possibly imagine, is a complete managerialist, has no respect for academic freedom at all. And Joe Anderson, who was the speaker in the ill-fated March 5th, 2021 Arts Faculty Council meeting, which was investigated by Jeffrey Hope. I was found not to have engaged in anything improper in that meeting. In fact, I was attacked by about 10 faculty members. Anyway, we all watched a video recording of that. So it's completely amazing. Anyway, all the grievances, 10 grievances. And then you have the discipline. So 9, this is the grievance 4 and grievance 9. Those are the 2 disciplinary grievances. That's where the arbitrator found that it was excessive, the discipline. And then we have the final remedy on page 292. And this is where the arbitrator decided that I couldn't be reinstated. So anyway, so just so I'm just trying to go through to the end here. I'm just screening through here. Anyway, so he was going to consider monetary payment, but thank goodness CAUT appealed the decision. So we're not getting into any of this nonsensical discussion about monetary matters, because there is no reason why I can't be reinstated. The fact that Gabrielle Lindstrom, who is the reason why I got fired, is because she feels unsafe if I'm around. She went after me, and I was defending myself from her. And then she went and quit and went off to University of Calgary, so I could not file a complaint against her. She spoke to the media, and I wasn't allowed to reply because I was bound by these confidentiality order that MRU was imposing upon me. And then I've got to listen to the arbitrator talk about how she feels she's been harmed by me. Anyway, so this is the arbitrator's decision about the unviability, that my relations with a number of colleagues at MRU cannot be repaired. I don't work with any of these people. It makes no difference whatsoever. Refusal to recognize the impact of my harassing communications. These were not harassing. They did not at all rise to the level. I have 1 tweet about misgendering fatigue, 2 tweets about like that are just responding to Gabrielle Lindstrom coming onto my Twitter account and basically harassing me. And then all these ridiculous tweets that Jeff Hope investigated, where I was just, satirizing the Mount Royal Anti-Racism Coalition, for their calling me a racist and a white supremacist and so on. This is nonsense. I have lack of remorse. This is constantly coming up. I have no remorse for what's happened. I did nothing wrong. It's MRU that should have remorse. But of course, they're never going to be held to account for what they've done. They don't want to see me return to the workplace. Anyway, they don't work with me. No person who says that they don't want to see me return. It's an absurd thing. My persistence that I refuse to accept that these constituted harassment. I know what harassment is. Harassment is serious. A few tweets satirizing the nonsense that was going on. And of course, I grudgingly referred to the tweet. I referred to an MRU colleague when I was talking about the misgendering fatigue. Stephen Heichler, in his analysis of the Gang of 17, if you didn't say someone's name, you weren't found to be guilty of harassment. So if Eichler had investigated me, I wouldn't have been found to have engaged in harassment. That's the other thing, is all these investigators, all their findings were different. And Jones made no effort to provide reasons as to what the nature of harassment is. My post-termination contact, hostility to the university and colleagues. I'm not hostile to the university or colleagues. I'm hostile to those people at the university who are completely violating the academic mission of the university. So I'm completely supportive of colleagues and administrators who protect academic freedom. I am critical of those that do not. And then this one right below 292. This is completely made up. It's about at the arbitration hearing requiring a deploying of the room furniture. The arbitrator said that it needed to be moved because the table was too close with the witnesses. This was made up by MRU. And the fact that the arbitrator decided to put that in there is an absurd thing, and that's being appealed. That's one of the major grounds of appeal that's happening. But that never happened. That was made up by the Mount Royal University lawyer who was trying to, poison the proceedings against me. And CAUT made it known at the time that this had never happened. My refusal to accept the terms of my employment, this doesn't make any sense, which defines academic freedom, and the criticism of the faculty associate for agreeing to these limitations. The arbitration is about, what the nature of academic freedom is, and I have my own views about what academic freedom is, and that's shared by James Turk. So we're arguing about that. Friction between her and other colleagues, as exemplified by the breadth of the Lindstrom and Watchman complaints, which go far beyond harassing social media communications. That friction is because Lindstrom and Watchman cannot accept any criticism of indigenization. And the fact that I'm going to be punished for that when they have no respect for academic freedom, that's a joke. That's a complete joke. And why anyone would listen to the ridiculous musings of cry bullies like Lindstrom and Watchman is shocking. And then implacable views and attitudes. So my implacable views and attitudes. Anyway, I'm implacable because I have a sense of how wrong all of this was. I've been put through 4 years, and my life turned upside down, and then to be lectured by David Philip Jones is a bit much for me to put up with at this stage, after going through everything that I've gone through. So that's the decision. I'm going to be talking much more about this, but I just wanted to give you a sense. That's why I can't be reinstated. And then he thinks that my suspension, everyone else who was engaged in mobbing me got a letter of warning. I got a 2-week suspension. It was stated in the Eichler report that in December 2019, Milena Razankowska was told by MRU that workplace policies did not apply to personal social media accounts. MRU changed its ruling in October 2020 when they allowed Gabriel Lindstrom to go after me. So this is what happened. And the arbitrator conveniently left this out. He said there was no evidence that workplace policies didn't apply. This is not true. It was in the Eichler report investigating the Gang of Seven, what was called the Gang of 17. And the Gang of 17 wording was actually used by the MRU lawyer. So I'm just using what the MRU lawyer said. Okay, so that's the decision. And then in the rest of this post, I talk about how these investigations that went on, and that was the Rennie Watchman complaint. When I did an analysis of this, and then MRU changed its approach, in January 2024, no rationale given as to why this is the case, and you can just click on, the DA Dirks complaint, for example. That's the actual complaint, which was I got through Freedom of Information. The particulars, the actual transcript of the investigation hearing, and the same thing is available with respect to the Gabriel Lindstrom complaint documents. And then I have how it changed, how the MRU case changed between the investigation reports, which they claimed the case was based on, and then they provided like a revision of the whole case in January 2024 with no explanation why that happened. And then I have the actual tweets. There were 9 tweets, and then of course this claim that I made a frivolous and vexatious complaint against Tim Haney, which it seemed to me was much more harassing, if we're going to call social media activity harassing, than the DA Dirks complaint about one tweet satirizing misgendering fatigue and the LGBTQ initialism. The decision is being appealed. That was decided on July 31st. And then I made a number of comments to the document that was being submitted as an appeal. So anyway, all those documents are available on the wokeacademy.info site. And I'm going to be having a lot more to say about this in the future, but I just wanted to give you a sneak preview of the arbitration decision, as well as some of the supporting documents that have been provided on the Woke Academy site, which again is www.wokeacademy.info. Thanks very much, and I'll be doing more videos to talk about this decision soon.